There's something about the air in late fall. You step outside one morning, and suddenly it smells colder. The leaves are nearly gone, the sun sets earlier, and you just feel that winter is coming. I have lived through over 70 winters now, some easy, some difficult. And if there is one thing I know for sure, it's that how you prepare for the season can make all the difference. Winter can be beautiful, peaceful even, but it can also be hard, especially if you are not ready for it. That's why today I want to share 9 things I personally do every year before winter arrives. These are not theories or things I read in a book. They come straight from experience, from saving money on heating to keeping your body warm and your heart steady. These small steps have helped me stay healthy, comfortable, and calm through even the roughest cold spells. Number 1, check your heating system early. Every October, without fail, I turn on the heat, even if I do not need it just yet. I do it for one reason only, to make sure it is working. I learned that lesson the hard way many years ago. It was late November, just a few days before Thanksgiving, when the first real cold snap hit. I thought I was ready. I turned on the thermostat, and nothing happened. No heat, no fan, just silence and cold air. It turned out that my furnace had quit during the summer, quietly, without warning. And because I had not tested it earlier, I had to wait 5 full days before a repairman could get to me. I remember sitting at the kitchen table, wrapped in 3 sweaters, drinking lukewarm coffee, trying to stay warm. That weekend felt like the longest of my life. Since then, I do not wait. Every fall, I turn the heat on early. I listen for strange noises. I check the vents to see if warm air is flowing. I replace the filter, even if it looks clean. And if anything seems off, a smell, a sound, or just a feeling, I call someone before the rush starts. Because once winter hits hard, every technician in town gets booked solid. If you have a gas or electric furnace, now is the time to make sure it is ready. Some people forget about it until the first real freeze, and by then, it might be too late. Your heating system is like your heart during the winter. It keeps everything else going. And as we get older, staying warm is not just about comfort anymore. It is about health, safety, and peace of mind. So, do yourself a favor. Before winter settles in, give your system a check. Let it run for a while. Feel the warmth. And if you hear clanking or smell something strange, get it looked at early. It could save you money, time, and a whole lot of cold nights. Number 2, weatherproof your home. When you live in an older house like I do, you start to feel the seasons in your bones, not just outside, but inside your living room. I remember one year, sitting in my favorite chair by the window. It was only October, but I felt a chill on the back of my neck. I thought maybe it was just me, but when I lit a candle and held it near the window, the flame bent sideways. That draft was sneaking in like a thief. Since then, I have learned how to outsmart the cold. Weatherproofing your home is one of the most effective ways to stay warm without cranking up the heat, and without watching your utility bills climb higher than your roof. Start by checking your windows and doors. Use your hands to feel around the edges on a windy day. If you feel air coming through, even just a little, it means your warm air is going out and the cold is coming in. I like to use weather stripping, those little foam or rubber seals, to fill the gaps. They are cheap, easy to install, and make a big difference. You can also use door draft stoppers at the base of doors that lead outside. I made mine out of an old towel once, and it worked just fine. Heavy curtains or thermal drapes can also help a great deal. I remember switching to insulated curtains a few years back. The living room stayed warmer, and I did not have to turn the heat up as high. It made the whole house feel cozier. Another trick I have learned is to cover unused electrical outlets on exterior walls. They might seem small, but they can let in surprising amounts of cold air. You can buy little foam inserts that fit behind the outlet covers. They are cheap and they work. And do not forget your attic or crawl space. Heat rises, and if your insulation is thin or worn, it is like leaving a window open all winter. You do not have to redo the whole attic. Even adding an extra layer of insulation in problem spots can make a noticeable difference. In the end, weatherproofing is not just about comfort, it is about control. When you take the time to seal up your home, you are taking control over your warmth, your health, and your budget. And that is something worth doing. Number 3, stock up on essentials before the storms come. One thing I have learned about winter: it does not send a warning. One day you are raking leaves and the next, your driveway is covered in snow and the wind is howling. That is why I make it a point every single year to stock up early. Before the crowds, before the shortages, before the prices go up. I am not talking about panic buying. I am talking about peace of mind. When the roads are icy or the snow is coming down fast, the last thing I want is to have to drive to the store. So I stock my pantry, refill my prescriptions, and check my supplies while the weather is still calm. For me, that means keeping at least 2 weeks of non-perishable food on hand. Things like canned soup, dry beans, pasta, rice, peanut butter, crackers, and shelf-stable milk. I also keep tea, instant coffee, and oatmeal for warm, easy meals. You would be surprised how comforting a hot bowl of soup can feel on a cold evening, especially when the power flickers or the streets are too slick to drive. Medicine is another big one. I take a few regular prescriptions, and I make sure I am never running low in the winter months. I call the pharmacy early to get refills, just in case there are delays or weather interruptions. If you use medical devices, make sure you have enough batteries or backup power options. And then there are the little things, but they matter. I check the flashlight batteries, keep candles and matches in a drawer I can find in the dark, and make sure I have extra toilet paper and tissues. I even keep a few gallons of water stored just in case. It sounds simple, but when everything is frozen outside, having these things inside makes a world of difference. One more thing. I always let my kids and grandkids know when I have stocked up. It gives them peace of mind too. They live busy lives, and I do not want them worrying about whether I have food or supplies if a storm hits. Preparing early is not fear. It is wisdom. It is looking ahead, not out of worry, but out of love, for yourself, for your family, and for the life you have built. So take a quiet afternoon, make a list, and get what you need before winter comes knocking. Number 4, prevent falls. Protect yourself inside and out. As we get older, we learn that winter brings more than just cold air. It brings risks. Risks that we sometimes overlook until it is too late. One of the biggest dangers in the winter is something simple but serious: falling. I still remember the time I slipped on the front steps. It was early December, just a light dusting of snow. I'd gone out to check the mailbox, wearing house shoes I should not have worn outside. One small patch of ice, one wrong step, and down I went. My hip was sore for weeks. I was lucky. It could have been much worse. That moment changed the way I think about safety in the winter. These days, I do not take chances. I have added handrails on both sides of my porch steps. I make sure the paths around my house are clear of snow and treated with salt before I step outside. I use a small snow shovel, and if the weather gets bad, I ask for help. I used to be stubborn about that, but now I see asking for help not as weakness, but as wisdom. Inside the house is just as important. I added extra lighting in the hallway and near the bathroom. I put non-slip mats in the kitchen and bathroom, and I never walk on tile floors in socks. I keep a flashlight on my nightstand, just in case the power goes out and I need to move around safely. footwear matters too. I bought a pair of sturdy winter boots with good grip, not for fashion, but for function. The bottom of your shoes can make all the difference between a safe step and a fall. Sometimes it is the little things that help the most. I moved the things I use every day to lower shelves so I do not have to reach or climb. I got rid of loose rugs that might bunch up. And I take my time. That is one of the biggest lessons. Never rush. In the winter, slow and steady really does win the race. Falling is not just an accident. For us, it can lead to hospital stays, long recoveries, or worse. But the good news is, most falls can be prevented. With a few simple changes and a little extra caution, you can protect your body, your independence, and your peace of mind. Number 5, prepare your car for winter conditions. Even if you only drive a few times a week, your car still needs care before winter arrives. I learned that lesson the same way I learned most things, the hard way. One year, in early January, I went out to start the car, and all I heard was a clicking sound. The battery was dead. It was 15 degrees outside. I stood there, keys in hand, and wished I had been more prepared. Since then, every year around mid-November, I take the car in for a winter checkup. I do not wait until there is snow on the ground. I ask the mechanic to check the battery, the tires, the brakes, and the fluids, especially the antifreeze. A weak battery or worn-out tires can turn a quick trip into a serious problem if the weather turns rough. Tire pressure can drop in the cold. So I make sure it is at the right level. I also keep a small tire gauge in the glove box, just in case. And if your area gets snow or ice, it might be worth investing in winter tires. They really do make a difference in grip and safety. Inside the car, I keep an emergency kit. Nothing fancy, just things I might need if I get stuck. A warm blanket, a small flashlight with extra batteries, a few bottles of water, some protein bars, gloves, and a hat. I also keep a phone charger that plugs into the car just in case my phone dies while I'm out. One thing I learned from my son: keep the gas tank at least half full during the winter. It helps prevent the fuel lines from freezing, and it is just smart in case you ever get stuck in traffic or a snowstorm. Another habit I picked up is to clean the windshield wipers and replace them if they are cracked or worn. Clear visibility is not optional in the winter. I also top off the windshield washer fluid with one made for cold temperatures, so it does not freeze. Even if you only drive to church, the pharmacy, or the grocery store, taking care of your car is part of taking care of yourself. Because in the cold, a car problem is not just inconvenient, it can be dangerous. A little attention now means a safer, smoother seasons ahead. Number 6, adjust your diet to stay warm and strong. As the weather cools down, I always find my appetite changes. In the summer, I can get by on light meals and cold drinks, but when winter comes, my body starts asking for warmth. And over the years, I have learned to listen. The food we eat in the winter matters, not just for comfort, but for energy, for immunity, and for how well we feel day to day. I try to eat meals that warm me from the inside. Soups, stews, and oatmeal are some of my favorites. I make a big pot of vegetable soup every other week, freeze portions, and heat them up when I need a quick lunch. Warm drinks also help. I start the day with coffee, of course, but I also enjoy herbal teas, ginger tea, chamomile, or even warm water with lemon. Ginger is great for circulation and digestion. I keep a small thermos of tea by my side in the afternoons, especially when it is gray and cold outside. I also pay attention to getting enough protein and healthy fats. Chicken, fish, beans, and eggs help keep my energy steady. Nuts, seeds, and a little olive oil help me stay full without feeling heavy. I try to avoid too much sugar and salt. It is easy to reach for comfort foods when it is cold, but I have learned that too much of those can leave me feeling sluggish or bloated. Winter is also flu season, so I make sure to get plenty of vitamins. I eat more oranges, spinach, and sweet potatoes. If fresh produce is too expensive or hard to find, frozen vegetables are just as good, sometimes better, because they are packed at their peak. And let us not forget water. It is easy to drink less water in the winter because we are not sweating like we do in the summer. But staying hydrated helps everything, from joint health to digestion to energy. Eating well is one of the best ways to care for yourself in the colder months. It keeps your immune system strong, helps you sleep better, and gives you the strength to move around with more ease. I always say, a warm meal can do more than fill your stomach. It can lift your spirit. Number 7, get your flu shot and protect yourself from seasonal illnesses. I have never been one to run to the doctor for every little thing. Growing up, we toughed it out most of the time. But as I have gotten older, I have learned that some things are worth doing. Not out of fear, but out of care. Getting a flu shot is one of those things. Every fall, usually in early October, I make an appointment at my local pharmacy or clinic and get my flu shot. It takes just a few minutes, and it gives me peace of mind for the whole season. I remember one year I skipped it. I figured I would be fine. But by mid-December, I was in bed with the flu. Fever, chills, cough, the whole thing. It knocked me down for almost 10 days. I lost my appetite. I could not sleep, and even getting up to make tea felt like climbing a mountain. I promised myself I would never go through that again if I could help it. Since then, the flu shot has become part of my fall routine. Right up there with bringing the sweaters out of storage and baking the first apple pie of the season. For me, it is not just about protecting myself. It is about being there for the people I love. When I stay healthy, I am not a burden on my kids. I am not missing birthdays or holidays. I can show up for the moments that matter. The flu can be serious, especially as we get older. Our immune systems are not as strong as they used to be, and what might be a mild illness for a younger person can turn into something more dangerous for us. A quick visit for a flu shot can help prevent all that. And let us be honest, no one wants to spend the winter stuck in bed, missing out on the season. There are books to read, calls to make, cookies to bake, and maybe even snow to watch fall outside the window. Being sick takes all of that away. So do not wait until flu season is in full swing. Make a note, schedule a visit, and get it done. It is a small step, but it makes a big difference. Your body will thank you for it, and so will the people who care about you. Number 8, reconnect with nature, even in the cold. There is something special about stepping outside on a cold, crisp morning. The air is sharper, the sky a little clearer, and even the trees, bare as they are, have a kind of quiet strength to them. Over the years, I have found that winter is not a season to hide from. It is a season to pay attention to. When I was younger, I spent most winters rushing through them, going from the house to the car, from the car to the store, always trying to avoid the cold. But now I take it slower. I open the curtains in the morning and let the light in, even if the sun is shy. I sit by the window with my tea and watch the birds gather around the feeder. I take short walks when the sidewalks are dry, bundled up in my coat and scarf, breathing in the cold air. Even just 10 or 15 minutes outside can clear my head and lift my mood. There is something grounding about being close to nature, even in its quiet sleeping form. The bare branches, the frosty grass, the hush in the air. They remind me that every season has its own kind of beauty. Life does not stop in winter. It just slows down, softens. When the weather is too rough, I bring a little nature inside. I keep a small plant on the kitchen counter. I listen to recordings of birdsong. I open a window for a few minutes just to let the fresh air move through the room. These little acts make the house feel less closed in, less heavy. I have learned that staying connected to the natural world helps me stay connected to myself. It eases the loneliness that winter can sometimes bring. It reminds me that I am still a part of something bigger, something steady, something alive. So if you can, step outside. Look up at the sky. Feel the wind on your face. Let the season show you what it has to offer. Winter is not just something to endure. It is something to experience, one quiet breath at a time. Number 9, create a winter comfort plan for your body and mind. When the days get shorter and the nights get colder, it is easy to feel like the whole world is slowing down. The phone rings less. The visits are fewer. The silence around the house gets a little louder. That is why I believe in having what I call a winter comfort plan. For me, it is not complicated. It is just a few things that I can look forward to. Things that make the long nights and quiet days feel a little warmer in body and in spirit. I start with my comfort shelf, a small corner in the living room where I keep the things that make me feel good. A few favorite books, an old photo album, a soft blanket, and a little box of letters from my grandchildren. Sometimes I just sit with them, letting the memories wash over me like sunlight through a frosty window. I also make a list of small joys, not big events, just gentle pleasures, like baking cookies on a snowy afternoon, or playing my favorite old songs and letting them fill the room, or calling an old friend just to hear a familiar voice. These are the moments that make the season bearable, even beautiful. For the body, comfort comes in movement and warmth. I do some light stretching every morning just to keep the stiffness away. I have a heating pad that I use when my back acts up, and I make sure I dress in layers so I can stay cozy without overheating. I light candles in the evening, drink tea, and wrap up in my warmest quilt. These rituals make the cold feel less harsh. But comfort is not just about avoiding discomfort. It is about creating an environment, physical and emotional, where you feel safe, content, and loved. You do not need much, just a little preparation, a little intention, and a little kindness to yourself. So think about what brings you comfort. Maybe it is knitting. Maybe it is puzzles. Maybe it is watching the snow fall while sipping hot chocolate. Whatever it is, make room for it. Plan for it. Because winter will come as it always does, and you deserve to walk through it not just prepared, but comforted. Winter has a way of slowing us down, but it does not have to stop us from living well. With a little care and preparation, this season can be one of peace, comfort, and quiet joy. These 9 steps I have shared are simple, but they come from years of experience, from lessons learned the hard way, and from a deep desire to live wisely. I hope something in here helps you. Even just one small thing to make your days warmer and your nights easier. Remember, taking care of yourself is not selfish. It is how we stay strong, stay connected, and stay present for the ones we love. If this video brought you value, share it with a friend or neighbor. We are all walking through the seasons together. Until next time, be kind to yourself, stay warm, and take good care.